Yes, I am going to speak about Aurora's murder song 54321 at the Nobel Peace Prize concert yet again. I already have done a video about this that was concerning my theory of why this performance was so effective. The theory regarded a type of power management that or energy management that she uses by building and releasing tension, which propels her through the song and allows her to grab the story from her story creating universe and to give it to us. In that original video that I made, I stopped in one frame and really started to babble about the particular figure that she made and how I had a lot to say about it. And I'd like to pick it up there and discuss the nature of art. There are many ways to look at music in general, but this performance in particular, we can look at the music, we can look at why it's effective, we can look at the content of the song. So I want to talk this time about art and the content of the song.
Five, four, three, two, one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He holds the gun against.
Okay, so this is the frame that really gets me thinking. So I want to look at this from what I perceive of Aurora's perspective at this point. She's the person that creates the stories, and then she sends them to this other world where they reside, and they always exist, unchanged. And when she's on stage, this energy management system gives her the power to go grab those stories and bring them to us. So now she is the director and the actor and all the props. She is everything of the story. When she grabs the story to bring it to us, it has to create some apprehension right away. This has to be a very difficult story to tell. What form of art is this storytelling? What is her position? What is her role in this? There's no shortage of murder and mayhem in many of the arts, particularly film and literature. And in some of those, even violence can be very much glorified. That's not the case in this instance. That's not what happens in this transmission of the story. In real time, we didn't have the luxury of examining this frame. She's the storyteller, and she has to tell this story sympathetically. The gun is represented as an indeterminate object next to her head, as if we're just going to get by this part. We're going to get by this part where he shoots me in the head, and I'm going to explain to you why it's okay.
My head, I close my eyes, and bang, I am dead.
Tell me this, at this point in the song, where do you see the two characters? What is the setting that you see? If you hadn't already imagined that, imagine it now, and I'm going to ask you later again, and let's see if we see the same place. It may be part of the nature of this type of special performance.
I know he knows that he's killing me for mercy.
Okay, here we go. What is the nature of this art? She had to frantically get to this point that caused her a lot of apprehension. She needed to get by being shot in the head and dying to explain to us why this is okay. And she knows that he knows it's okay, or the character she's inhabiting right now knows that. Why does that character know that? Because that character she's inhabiting explained to the person that killed her why he had to kill her. And it wasn't because she was sick or dying. It's because the world is an awful place. Do we need to psychoanalyze that character? She hates the world. There's one thing she loves in the world, and that's the man that killed her. And she's intimately describing, lovingly describing her own murder and how it's okay.
And here I go. Oh, 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 oh. And here I go. my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no harm.
For her, the character, it was really important for us to get to this point of understanding, or it was important to her to try to make us understand. And we can reject the notion here at this point. This is what it is to be a participant in examining art. Sometimes we decide, and it suits us, to separate the performer from their performance, from the man from the art. In this case, the artist has inextricably bound herself to the fashion by which she tells a story, to the story itself, and to the vehicle, which is music. And so it's particularly difficult to decide where we stand. It is possible to reject a notion in this story and still embrace the entire art form. And for some people, it's also understandable that they might entirely reject the piece altogether because of the content. My belief is, like many artists, they can create their story, their world, and not be entirely sure themselves of what it means. And maybe at different points in their lives, they'll have different interpretations. It's the same thing for us. We can examine art and have different types of interpretations. You know, if you ever listen to any Yes songs when John Anderson was really just bizarre, he just put words together that sounded great and then later on might interpret them. And sometimes some of his songs were inspired by a particular thing, but when the songs took form, they weren't just a rehashing of how he was inspired. They were the words that needed to come out for the song to sound correct. So I'll ask you now, where do you see our main characters? I see them in the back seat of a car, like an old black Volvo, on a mountainous, tree-covered back road. Everything is covered in frost and snow. Yeah, they're in the back seat, and she is dead with her head down on his lap, and he's looking down at her.
Holds me tight. Oh, he did all to spare me from the awful things in life that comes, and he cries and cries.
We can understand why she might look confused and apprehensive. It's because she is absolutely possessed and has to give, there's no way she can stop. She has to give us this story. And maybe even to herself right now, she can't quite believe that this is happening.
I know he knows that he's killing me for mercy, and here I go. Oh, 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 and here I go. Oh, oh.
Of course, this story would cause her that much apprehension, that much physical apprehension. She has to tell us this story, and she's finding equilibrium within it.
He holds my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no harm, and he holds me tight. Oh, he did all to spare me from the awful things.
The character is just pushing out the story, violently pushing out the story. You have to believe me that it's okay. You have to believe me that this was the right thing to do.
In life that comes, and he cries and cries.
To me, here at this point, it feels like Aurora knows she's getting close to being able to come back, and she's shaking off some of that energy, awaiting the time when she gets to be on this earth again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The gone is gone, and so
As I said in my original video where I discussed my theory about how she performs like this, I wish I could see the frames, some frames after that. I want to see her coming back fully to the planet Earth. I guess I would consider this a companion piece to the other video I made about Aurora and this song, where I tried to come up with a theory of how it is she does what she does. This here I was more concerned with exactly what type of art is this and the content. I still am not an Aurora expert. I'm not even an Aurora novice. I don't think I would ever feel the need to try to analyze one of her songs again. Or maybe I would in a different time period. This here is just what I see Aurora as at this point in her career. I suspect she's probably changed a lot since then. I find this incredibly engrossing, very interesting. And everything I've said is how I'm perceiving the art. And art is like this. You can see this in a completely different way, and that is totally fine. I'm just explaining what I think and what I feel. You might have a completely different experience, and that is the nature of art.